Hey, Dr. Ray here, founder of the Learning Liaisons, and welcome. Welcome to our Wednesday evening math sessions featuring our math specialist and your math specialist, Amy Sink. In the next hour, Amy has put together a sample set of approximately 10 practice questions that run the gamut from kindergarten levels all the way through 12th grade high school math. Now, I know you are attending here, watching this, and you're like, well, I'm doing elementary in Texas, or I'm doing elementary in Praxis, or I'm doing high school math in Florida, or middle school math in Texas. And what's going on here, right? So we're doing these sessions to help you guys out and provide you with different ways to look at problems and to build that confidence. Because here at the Learning Liaisons, one of our major objectives is to clear up the testing confusion, give you the support you deserve in order to nail your exam and be done with it. So our focus is on math. Now, are we going to be just focusing on high school math the whole hour or elementary? No, we've got a mixture here. Now, Amy's going to go through a bunch of problems. You're going to have the opportunity to download those as a PDF. So when Amy starts, just pay attention to the screen. We're going to have a message there for you so you can download the PDF in case we don't get to all the problems or want to practice on your own. She's going to do her best to go across all different grade levels. If you have a question, you feel free to ask Amy your question as well. We're teachers here too, so we can multitask. Our job is to make sure that we give you what you need to be successful. But if you're like, dang it, I didn't have any questions this week, don't worry. We'll be here next Wednesday night as well. So bring those questions with you if you want, and you can ask Amy away. Because here at the Learning Liaisons, we pride ourselves in providing you guys the support you need to pass your exam. So whether you're our Florida teachers here with our FTCE exams, our national exam Praxis peeps, big shout out to you guys out there too, and especially our newcomers to the Learning Liaisons brand, TExES Prep. So whether you're elementary, middle school, and high school, we've got your back. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, get ready to learn some math, and stay tuned for the end because I'm going to jump back on to close this out. And I got a special surprise for you guys who really want to get the real deal prep and get everything you need to be successful and practice, clear up that confusion, and pass your certification exam on the next attempt. So, welcome to the Learning Liaisons community. Always remember, it's when you pass, not if you pass. So without further ado, let's turn it over to the reason why you're here, Amy. You with us, Amy? Let's get going.
Here, Dr. A. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Hey, everybody. I'm so excited that you're joining me today for Wednesday Night Math. I noticed that some of you have put in the comments what test you are prepping for. I see some K through 6 people. I see some GK people. I see some 6 through 12. How are you? It's so good to see all of you. I have a variety of problems prepped, but even if the problem doesn't look like a problem that would be on your test, I encourage you to still stick around, pay attention to it, because for a lot of these problems, I try to stretch the problem up or pull it down depending on the problem so that it at least benefits more than the group from where that problem came from. So let's jump right in and get started. Our first problem is a geometry problem. The problem says, what is the area of the shaded region if X is the center of the circle? What is the area of the shaded region if X is the center of the circle? Now, technically, this is a GK, middle school, or high school problem. However, my elementary school teachers, this is important for you too because you do composition of shapes. So you may do an area plus an area or an area minus an area. It just may not be with a circle with pi r squared. So let's talk about how to go through with this problem. The first thing we're going to do is we have to figure out area. It's asking us for area of the shaded region. Well, you'll notice that the shaded region are those top corners and the bottom corners. Right here, right here, right here, and right here. That's the area that we're trying to find. Well, unfortunately, I have a formula for area of a little teeny tiny, not really triangle because it's got a curved edge. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our formula for area of a square. We're going to use our formula for area of a circle, and then we're going to subtract them. Again, elementary school teachers, you may be presented with a problem that looks something like this, where you have to find the area of this shape. So instead of subtracting, you may add those two shapes. You would use area of a rectangle plus area of a triangle. So let's go ahead and get started with this specific problem. So we have area of our square and we have area of our circle. Hey, pre-K through grade 3, absolutely. A lot of our K through 6 problems they overlap with the K through 3 because elementary is K through 6 and pre-K through 3 is pre-K through 3. So yes, but I will keep that in mind to make sure that I add an extra problem in there next week specifically for that test. Moving on. Area of a rectangle is length times width. We know that. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So our area of a circle, pi r squared. Now, depending on the kinds of answer choices that you're given, is going to depend on what kind of format you're going to use for pi. Sometimes the answer choices will include pi. Sometimes the answer choices will look like they're like rounded off to the nearest hundredth. If that's the case, you're going to use 3.14 for pi. If it doesn't say that, then you're just going to use pi as pi and you'll just figure out the rest of it and it'll be like 84 pi. So you want to use your answer choices to help you with that. So let's find the area of the circle first. So we know that the X is the center, which tells us that that line that's going through it is a diameter because the diameter goes through the center of the circle. Because I know that's a diameter, that's a problem. Diameter is not the same as radius. But what do I know about diameter? I know that diameter is double my radius. Diameter goes all the way through, and radius is half of that. So my radius is going to be this piece right here. Well, if my diameter is 16, my radius is going to be 8. So now I can plug that in and find the area of my circle. So area of my circle, and I always include the little shape when I'm dealing with multiple shapes just so I don't forget what I'm doing. Area of a circle equals pi times 8 squared. Please don't forget that squared means times itself. Squared is not 8 times 2. Squared is 8 times 8. So I have 64 pi. Now, I like to leave it as 64 pi just because it's more of an exact answer. However, that said, for the purpose of this test, I'm going to multiply that through. So I'm going to use 3.14 as pi. 64 times 3.14 equals 200.96. Now, if this was a multiple choice question, I guarantee you that would be one of the answer choices because they're going to look for people who solve that and are ready to move on. But this is not, we're not ready to move on yet. What do we need to do next? Giving you think time. We have to find the area of the square. I know this is a square, even though it didn't say it, because that diameter is going to go all the way through the circle, which means I have a diameter here, which also means I have a diameter here. And because of that, I know this is going to be a square. If that's my diameter, then I know that this side is 16. And if that horizontal line is a diameter, which I know it is, then I know my bottom is going to be 16, which means I can do 16 times 16 for the area of my square. 16 times 16, don't have that one memorized, is 256. So now I have area of my square, I have area of my circle. What am I going to do now? I'm going to take out the circle from my square because that's the part that we cut out of the shape. We left all the blue, we cut out the circle. So I'm going to take my square, I'm going to subtract my circle, and I get 256 minus 200.96, 55.04. Now, if you texted that number on the screen to get the PDF of these slides, fun fact, the answer choices that are displayed on that PDF are all wrong. So just know that this is the answer. Get out your phone, take a picture of this screen, do something, because you're not going to have the right answer on those PDF slides. I will fix that, but Right now, if you text it and you get that PDF, the right answer is not going to be on those slides. So take a picture of this video so that you have the right answer. It is 55.04. All right, like I said, that's a middle school, high school, GK, core math, that kind of problem. But elementary teachers, you know what to do with that if you get a problem like that. All right, let's move on to problem number 2. Which of these is the point slope form of the line that passes through points -5, -3, and has an x-intercept of 3? All right, first thing I noticed is they want point slope form. I like to eliminate answer choices really quickly. That way I know what I'm dealing with, and it gives me a higher chance of getting the problem right. So I know we're looking for point slope form. Well, we have to know the difference between slope-intercept form and point slope form. Fun fact, mathematicians are not very creative when it comes to naming things. Why is it called point slope form? Because it has a point and a slope. Why is it called slope-intercept form? Because it has a slope and an intercept. Not very creative. So let's talk about each of those forms before we dive into this problem. Point slope form and slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is probably the one that you guys are more familiar with if you are familiar with this, and that's going to be y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Slope-intercept. They give you a slope and an intercept. Point slope form is going to be y minus y1, where y1 is just a number of a point, equals m times x minus x1, where x1, y1 is your point. Hey, wait a minute. Point slope form has a point and a slope. Ding, 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 you're right. So what answer choice can I get rid of right now? Letter B, because letter B is in slope intercept form, not point slope form. Now, letter B is actually the slope intercept form of this line. So if it said, what is the slope intercept form of this line, B would be your correct answer because that is the slope form, intercept form. But that's not what we're looking for today. We're not looking for slope intercept form. We're looking for point slope form. So we're left with A, C, and D. What is the other answer choice that I can eliminate immediately? Letter D, because letter D doesn't even follow the format of point slope form. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Letter D says x minus x1 equals m times y minus y1. It's reversed. So that doesn't even follow the correct form. Well, without even doing any math, we've eliminated 50% of our answer choices. We've eliminated 2 answer choices. So I'm left with A and C. So which one of those is going to be correct? Well, again, what I notice is the only difference between them is their symbols in between the y and the x. It's important that you recognize that in point slope form, the original formula has negatives. The original formula has negatives, which means if the point they give me is negative, then when I plug it in, it's going to turn positive. Here's why. Y minus, I'm going to write the formula and then just plug in what I have. What do I have as my Y value? -3. All right, let's pause for a minute. Elementary teachers, this problem is not on your test, but you need to understand coordinate points and you need to understand how to plot them. -5, -3, this is your X value, this is your Y value. Why is X before Y? Because X comes before Y in the alphabet. That's how I remember it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, 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 X, Y, Z. So X comes before Y in the alphabet. X comes before Y in the coordinate plane. So when I plot that point, I know that I'm going -5 on the X. X lays down on the horizontal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. down -3, so it's going to be somewhere down here. Moving on, y minus, my y value is -3, equals, I don't need to solve for my m. It doesn't matter what my m is because they're all the same. If we notice in this problem, all of the m values are 3/8. They did half the work for us. So don't waste your time finding slope, even though you know you need it, when all of these answer choices have the same slope. You don't need to solve for it because they all have the same one. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus, and then I'm going to put my x value, which is -5. I know a negative times a negative is a positive, so these actually turn into big positive symbols, which means C is the correct answer. As I'm working through these problems, feel free to comment in the comment box. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to say, hey, stop. I didn't understand that. Can you go back and do it? This is for you, not for me. So I want to answer whatever questions you have. Also, comment in the comment box what kinds of problems you'd like to see in the coming weeks. In fact, a lot of the problems that you're seeing today came from people's comments last week or 2 weeks ago when I asked them the same question. They said, we want to see geometry, we want to see coordinate planes, we want to see, I wasn't able to get it all in this week, which means I'll take the rest of it and do it next week. But if you have content that you want to see me solve, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'll add it to the list of content to review over the next couple weeks. All right, problem 2 is done. Let's move on to problem number 3. Probability. Everybody's going to see probability, K through 12. This is a problem that everybody will see K through 12. Yes, the final answer for problem 2 was C. Y plus 3 equals 3/8 times x plus 5. So everybody sees probability. Let's go ahead and read this problem together. In a fish tank at the pet store, there are 15 goldfish, 4 catfish, and 9 zebrafish. A customer comes and purchases 3 fish at random and takes them home. 2 goldfish and 1 zebrafish. The next customer that comes wants to purchase a fish at random. What is the probability that the fish is a goldfish? Now, this is direct probability. We're not really having to do a whole lot with it, but this is direct probability. Again, my middle school and high school people, you're going to see a little bit more complex probability, but I've seen these kinds of problems in review content for you guys too, and it matches those standards that are on your exams. So let's go ahead and keep moving. Now, I know there's probably a fish person in this room that says that goldfish, catfish, and zebrafish can't be in a fish tank together. In fact, I actually laughed and thought about that when I was making this problem. I was like, I don't even know if those fish can be together because sometimes fish attack other fish. Today, they're in the same fish tank. So we're just going to move on and hope that they don't kill each other. All right, in a fish tank at the pet store, how many fish are in our fish tank? Well, let's talk about probability. With probability, what do we know about probability? We know probability is what our desired outcome is. So, I want a goldfish, or I want a blue marker, or I want a red sock, or whatever. So our desired outcome, my screen just stopped sharing. I'm going to keep going while I fix this. I'm going to keep talking about probability. So we know that its probability is desired outcome over the total. So your probability is going to be desired outcome over the total. So our total is going to be how many fish tank we have in the fish tank. So we would add the goldfish plus the zebrafish plus the catfish all together. So our desire over our total is probability. Desired. It just lost it again. Let's try this one more time. Otherwise, I'll just go to some good old-fashioned pencil and paper tonight because technology is a beautiful thing. So I'm going to go ahead and add my goldfish, my zebrafish, and my catfish together. But if you remember in the problem, you can't see the problem right now, but if you remember in the problem, someone already purchased some fish. And so we have to remove those fish out of our total. So our original total is going to be 15 plus 4 plus 9, which is 28. But our new total, because some of those fish were pulled out of the fish tank, our new total is going to be 25. So that is where most people are going to make their mistake on this problem. They're going to take the total number of fish, which is in green, and they're going to run with that number. But you have to make sure that if someone is taking some fish out of that fish tank and they're not replacing them, that you pull those fish out. So we need to get rid of those goldfish and zebrafish out of our fish tank. So our new total is going to be 25 because someone already took 2 goldfish and a zebrafish home. Now, what is the probability that the fish is a goldfish? Well, our new total, like I said, is 25. How many goldfish are left in the tank? Don't put 15. Don't answer 25 or letter D. You got this far in the problem and you remembered we needed a new total, but don't mess up now. There was 15 goldfish in the tank, but someone bought 2 of those goldfish. So I have 13 goldfish left, not 15 goldfish. There's only 13 left because someone bought 2 goldfish. So my answer is going to not be C, it's going to be B. 13 over 25. When will class begin? This is class. We started at 7 o'clock. I'm not sure what your question is. And Nicole, I did see your question. Positives, negatives. Are you asking about like increasing and decreasing positives and negatives, or like adding and subtracting negative and positive integers? I want to make sure I understand what you're asking for. All right. Now, my middle school and high school people, I actually took this problem and adjusted it for you. So this is problem 3B. Exact same problem, except this person wants to buy 2 fish. In a fish tank at the pet store, there's 15 goldfish, 4 catfish, all of the same. The next customer that comes wants to purchase 2 fish at random. What is the probability that the first fish is a goldfish and the second fish is a zebrafish? So we have 2 fish now. Okay, thank you, Nicole. We have 2 fish now. So exact same problem. I copy and pasted my notes from the last one into this one because it's the exact same problem, except they want a goldfish first and then they want a zebrafish. I'm not so sure why you can't see it either because I know that I've got some people that can see the broadcast, so I don't really know how to answer your question. I'm sorry. So the first fish is a goldfish. Well, we already know from the first problem that that's 13 out of 25 because the first person bought 2 goldfish. We had 15 and now we're down to 13. But now, if I'm doing combined probability, I'm going to multiply my 2 probabilities together to get another probability, like a bigger probability. So the probability that the first fish is a goldfish and the second fish is a zebrafish, that's going to be real slim if you want exactly the first fish to be a goldfish and the second fish to be a zebrafish and not the other way around. So I'm going to multiply it by my probability of the second fish. But here's where a lot of people are going to make their mistake. What is my new total for my second fish to be a zebrafish? It's going to be 24, not 25, because I've already pulled I wrote 5 and I said 24. I pulled the goldfish out of the tank in the first probability. So this is the goldfish. I scooped it out, and now there's only 24 fish in the fish tank. And it's the probability of a zebrafish, but remember, we had 9 zebrafish, but that customer before me took a zebrafish with them. So that probability is actually going to be 8. Multiply them together and you get your answer. So 25 times 24 is 600. 13 times 8 is 104. And we notice that that answer choice is not there. Well, that's because we can simplify this fraction. Now, if you had 25 here, you would have gotten 104 out of 625, which is C. So it's important that each little piece you have correct, because it's they know what errors you're going to make, and they're going to include them here in their answer choices. 104 divided by 2 is 52. 600 divided by 2 is 300. This is how I would do it. I know there's an easier way, but this is just how I would do it. 52 divided by 2 is 26. 300 divided by 2 is 150. And then divided by 2 again is going to give me 13 out of 75. So B is going to be the correct answer for this one. Very tricky. And you will see problems like this in anywhere from 6 through 12. Elementary will not see combined probability most likely, but middle school, high school, GK, core, all of that will see combined probability. All right, let's keep moving on. Problem number 4, solve for X. All right, this is a classic, like a straightforward problem. When I had to take my test for 6 through 12 and for elementary, I would love these kinds of problems because it was just math. Like I was just solving for X. I didn't have to interpret. I didn't have to read a bunch of words. I just was able to read it and solve it and move on. Now, don't let words overwhelm you. They're just words, and you are probably taking a reading exam as well. You've got your GK reading or your subject area reading. Don't let those reading words overwhelm you. You can use the same strategies from your reading into your math when you're comprehending those passages. But like I said, this is a very straightforward problem. So we have 7 minus 2 times 3x plus 4 divided by 5x equals 3. In order to solve this problem, we have to unlock our numerator from numerator jail. So right now, our numerator is trapped in numerator jail. I can't do anything with it. I could distribute the 2, but that's about it. In order to unlock this, I need to multiply both sides by 5x. Why am I doing that, you ask? Great question. Because that numerator is being divided by 5x. Multiplication undoes division. Addition undoes subtraction. Multiplication undoes division. That's about as far as it's going to go for elementary and probably GK. My high school people, exponents undo square roots. And then when you get into like those trig functions, your arc trig functions are going to undo your normal trig functions. So arc cosine or inverse cosine is going to like undo your normal cosine and so on. So all different inverse functions, and you need to know, or inverse operations, you need to know those so you can undo and unlock different things from your problem. Sometimes I like to think of a math problem as an escape room, and you're trying to unlock all the different things. So 5x divided by 5x is 1. So I have 7 minus 2 times 3x plus 4. That numerator just got unlocked, and 3 times 5x is 15x. Now I can go ahead and solve this. So I'm going to distribute my -2 through. Please don't forget to distribute it all the way through. The -2 does not just go to the 3x. In fact, to this day, I still do those little humps. So I don't forget to distribute that -2 all the way into the 4. So I have 7 minus 6x. Nicole, this is for you. -2 times 3x. Understanding how to multiply and divide those negative integers Negative 2 times 3, negative times a positive is a negative. Negative times a negative is a positive. And then negative 2 times 4 is negative 8 equals 15x. Now, this is where, again, this is another common error point where people will just combine this entire thing. You cannot combine x's and non-x's. You cannot combine x's and y's. You cannot combine xy's with x squared. You can only combine things that are alike. So in this case, I'm going to combine the 7 and the negative 8. It's a negative 8 because there's a negative in front of it. Keep those symbols together. 7 minus 8 is negative 1. Keep everything else the same. Minus 6x equals 15x. Why is it negative 1? Let's think about it on a number line. And again, elementary teachers, pre-K through 3 teachers, you may not see this, but you will see adding and subtracting negative integers. So if we look at a number line and I have 0, negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did not make my number line big enough. 7, 8. I'm starting at the number positive 7. So my starting point is going to be right here. If I'm moving in the positive direction, so if I'm adding, I'm going to go to the right. And I'm going to change colors because I got a lot of pink on this paper. I'm going to the right if I'm adding. If I'm subtracting, I'm moving to the left. So that said, if I'm subtracting 8, 7 minus 8, let's subtract 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's happening is we move over that 0 hump. 8, I get to negative 1. So I land in the negatives because 8 is bigger than 7, so I have to go a little further than that 0. All that said, it gives us negative 1. Now I'm going to move this up here so I have a little bit more room. What am I going to do next? Got to get all those x's together. So I'm going to add 6x to both sides because negative 6 plus a positive 6 gives me a 0. Negative 1 equals 15 plus 6 is 21. I'm terrible at mental math, let me tell you. And then divide both sides by 21 because division undoes multiplication. X equals negative 1 over 21. So our answer is A. Absolutely do that, Nicole. There is no shame in drawing a massive number line on your paper. All right, answer is A. Excellent job. All right, let's move on to problem number 5. At a playground, the ratio of children to adults is 11 to 4. If there are 75 total people at the park, how many children are at the park? This problem came from a K through 6 prep material. I changed the numbers, changed the problem, but this is a K through 6 problem, pre-K through 3 also, because 3rd grade does do ratios, I think, but I don't have that off the top of my head. But middle school and high school GK, you guys work with ratios and all of that too. So while I pulled this from a K through 6, you definitely have ratios as well. At a playground, the ratio of children to adults is 11 to 4. If there are 75 total people at the park, how many children are at the park? So let's talk about what we know. We know that we have children is 11 and adults is 4 because a ratio is written in the order that they give it. So if they say children to adults, then this is going to be children and this is going to be adults. If there are 75 total people at the park, how many children are at the park? So they didn't give us a total. They gave us adults and children. But now we have a total and we need to know how many children are at the park. What are we going to do? Well, we can definitely set up an equivalent ratio. So children to adults, but then we have total. Let's do this instead. Children to total equals children to total. I'm going to operate with the right side of the equation first. So children to total is going to equal, they asked us how many children are there. So that's my variable. and I have a total of 75 people. Well, what's the ratio? How many children do I have in my ratio? I have 11. So I can replace that with an 11. And what's my total in my ratio? 15. Excellent job if you were thinking that. Because I can take my ratio and find my total by doing 11 plus 4. That gives me my total, which is 15. So my total in my equivalent ratios is going to be 15. Cross multiply. That's all you're going to do. So now I can do 11 times 75 equals 15 times C. 11 times 75 equals 15 C. 11, I'm going to use my 4-function calculator. That's a tip for you guys as I'm doing this. If you get a calculator on your test, and every test is different. We've got people from TExES Praxis in Florida in here, and we've got people from all different tests. So if you get a calculator on your test, a lot of times they will default to being an on-screen calculator. Ask your testing site if they will give you a 4-function calculator to hold. 99% of the time they will. I'm not saying 100 because I have heard of people asking and they will not give it to them. But 99% of the time they will give it to you if you ask. But if you don't ask, you're going to have to mess around with a on-computer calculator, which just wastes time. I can punch in 11 times 75 on my calculator right here way faster than I can click it on my computer. So ask for that. The other thing you can ask for is the reference sheet in a piece of paper. Again, not everybody gets a reference sheet, but if you do, and you know you do, ask for it at the place and they might give you a paper copy. Again, way better than fumbling with another feature on the computer. All right, moving on. That was just a little rabbit trail. 825 equals 15C. Divide both sides by 15. And C equals 55. All right. Any questions so far before I move into problem 6? Any questions so far before I move into problem 6 about any of the problems I've done so far? I'm going to get a sip of water, and then if I don't see any comments, I'm going to move on. All right. We are moving on. Problem number 6. Now, if you were hanging out with me last 2 Wednesdays ago, because last Wednesday I was in North Carolina, if you were hanging out with me 2 Wednesdays ago, you're going to say, wait a minute, we already did that problem. We kind of did this problem. Mario and Luigi are at the same spot. Luigi's car moves at a speed of 62 miles per hour. Mario's car drives at a speed of 47 miles per hour in the same direction. There's the key, same direction. So sometimes you will see these kinds of problems and it will say opposite directions. Sometimes you will see these problems and it says same direction. If both drivers maintain a constant speed, about how many hours will it take them to be 77 miles away from each other? This is distance equals rate times time. Now, a lot of times people get confused about distance equals rate times time problems because they will see the same problem, but it'll be about 2 kids reading a book at a different speed. If those kids are reading 82 words per minute and they want to know how much, at what point will they be 1,000 words apart, that's still distance equals rate times time. Rate is that per minute. So it doesn't have to be a literal transportation vehicle, car, plane, boat, whatever, as long as there's a rate and a goal or a distance, you can use distance equals rate times time. So I always like to draw a little picture of this. So we've got Luigi is blue and Mario is pink. So we've got Mario driving 47 miles per hour. And we've got Luigi driving 62 miles per hour. And they're going in the same direction. So really, Luigi needs to go a little farther because he's going a little faster. If they are going in the same direction, you're going to subtract your rates. If they are going in opposite directions, you're going to add your rates. Now, this is not like a rule that you can follow all the time because it depends on the kind of problem. But for this one specific kind of problem, you can use that mentality. If they're going in opposite directions, why do we add them? Because normally we would think same, add, opposite, subtract. Like that's where my brain goes. Here's why. If they're going in opposite directions and this car is going, I'm going to use two different cars. Okay, I've got my two remotes. If this car is going 100 miles an hour, it's a race car, and this car is going 50 miles an hour, and they start in the same spot. After 1 hour, how far will this car be? 100 miles, because it's going 100 miles in 1 hour. So after 1 hour, it's going to be 100 miles. And how far is this car going to be? 50 miles. So from that spot, this car is 100 miles, this car is 50 miles. How far apart are they? 150 miles. But if they're going in the same direction, this car is going to zoom away a little faster, but this car is trying to keep up. So we're subtracting them because we're looking for the gap between them. So that's why. All right, so we have distance equals rate times time, where our rate is 62 minus 47. What is our distance? They gave us our distance. Our distance is 77 miles away from each other, and they said how many hours. So if you read this problem and you got stuck, go to the question and figure out what do we have and what do we need. We need time because it said how many hours, which is time. That's what I'm looking for. So I know the problem gave me rate and distance somewhere in this problem because they asked for time. Distance is going to be 77 miles. Rate is going to be 62 minus 47, which is 15, times time. Divide both sides by 15. And we get 5.133333, which is D. Excellent job. All right, we're moving right along. Problem number, I'm trying to decide which problem I want to do. I'm going to skip to problem 8, just in the interest of time. This problem is going to take a hot minute, and I want to make sure that I can get through it for my high school people. So, high school people, this one's for you. This one is specifically high school, but I will talk to elementary and middle school people through this problem. So, triangle SEL is a right triangle. Right triangle means that this is a 90-degree angle, elementary and middle school people. You need to know that. What is the length of hypotenuse SE? You're really lucky that they said hypotenuse. If I was writing this question, I would have said, what is the length of SE? And you would need to know that that is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always across from your 90-degree angle. So that is always the case. Now, I'm looking for the length of that. What do I do when I'm looking for the length of a side in a right triangle? All the time. Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, I know that there's not a ton of high school people in here right now, and I will go back to elementary, middle school stuff in a minute, but I'm going to blow through some common concepts so we can get through this problem. High school people, stop me if you need me. Comment and be like, whoa, slow down if you need me to. I want to get through the conceptual concept of this and not worry about like the computation part. So I'm going to do A squared plus B squared equals C squared because C is always your hypotenuse. So 2x plus 10 squared plus x squared, A plus B equals C squared is 3x plus 4 squared. Now, it's super important that you recognize that this cannot be distributed. That is probably the number one mistake I see in these kinds of problems is people distribute the exponent. What does an exponent mean? An exponent means that I do whatever it is twice, which means I'm doing, and I actually prescribed some of this, so I'm just going to do that to save time. 2x plus 10 times 2x plus 10. Then 3x plus 4 times 3x plus 4. Now, when I distribute all of that, which I'm going to use FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, when I distribute all of that, 2x times 2x, 2x times 10, 10 times 2x, 10 times 10, I get 4x squared plus 20x plus 20x plus 100 plus, so this is your first set, plus this lone x squared that's by itself, and then all of this is what this equals, okay? So not only are we using our understanding of geometry, the high school tests love to do this. They love to take one problem and stretch it to the max and make sure you understand all sorts of things. So they're testing your understanding of quadratics, the ability to FOIL, the ability to multiply, and Pythagorean theorem. All right, so when I combine these, I'm only combining like terms, everybody in this room. So I'm only going to combine my x's on this side and then my x squareds together on this side. That's on one side of the equal sign. And then the other side of the equal sign is going to be, again, my x's. So when I combine those, I get 5x squared plus 40x plus 100. And then I get 9x squared plus 24x plus 16. So now I've got like two different competing sides. But I need to solve for x. I mean, this problem is eons long. In order to solve for x, welcome Trinidad. This live will not be posted later. We don't record them. Well, it's recording, but we don't post them. But we are here every Wednesday. So join us next week and let me know what test you're studying for, and I'll at least go show you the notes so you can take pictures of them. All right, so I'm going to subtract the 5x squared, the 40x, and the 100. High school people, why did I do that? Why did I subtract from the left side instead of the right side? So that my x squared was positive. I don't like dealing with negative x squareds when I'm trying to factor. So I just subtracted everything to the other side, so I had a positive x squared. So I end up with 0 equals, and when I combined this section, oops, that was a pen, not a highlighter. When I combined this section right here by subtracting the 5x squared, the 40x, and the 100, I got 4x squared minus 16x minus 84. Awesome, 6 through 12, you jumped right in at the right time. This is one of the main problems I'm doing for 6 through 12. From there, I'm like so excited that I'm like out of breath at this point. 0 equals 4x squared minus 16x minus 84. I'm going to divide 4 out so that I don't have to factor with a 4 in front. I'm going to divide everything by 4. Divide the 0 by 4, divide the 4x squared by 4, divide the 16x by 4, and divide the 84 by 4. When I do that, I get 0 equals x squared minus 4x minus 21. All of that work for a geometry problem. Crazy. All right, how do I factor? If you don't know how to factor, hit me up on Facebook. Let me know. I'm more than happy to do a tutoring session with you on factoring. Go watch some Khan Academies on factoring. But this is not a factoring lesson, so I'm going to move forward. I get 0 equals x multiples of 21 that add to give me -4, 7, and 3. The 7 is going to be negative so that my 4 is negative. 0 equals x plus 3 and x minus 7. Set both of those equal to 0. Whoops. Set both of those equal to 0. X minus 7 equals 0. And I get x equals -3 and x equals +7. And at that point, someone is going to say the answer is C. That is not the answer. You just did all that work. Don't get it wrong now. They asked you for the length of the side, not x. So now I need to take SE, which SE equals 3x plus 4, and I need to plug x in. I have two x values. One of them is not going to work. So when I plug a -3 in, because these are my options, I end up with a negative, and I can't have a negative length. So I'm going to plug the 7 in instead. 3 times 7 plus 4, 21 plus 4 gives me 25, which is A. There's your high school there's a big high school problem right there. But for my elementary and middle school teachers, thanks for sticking around for that really, 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 really long problem. Let's move into a geometry problem that pretty much everybody can see. Problem number 9. Which of the following geometric solids has 7 faces, 7 vertices, and 12 edges? This could be seen K through 12. Everybody has 3D shapes. Pre-K through 3, you could see this problem as well. Everybody can see this problem. So what do we need to know about geometric shapes? We need to know the difference between a pyramid and a prism. Main difference between a pyramid and a prism. A pyramid is going to have one base, which is going to be right here in this pyramid that I drew. And it's going to have triangles around it that all come up to a vertex. How many triangles does it have? However many sides your base has. This base has 4 sides. So it has 4 triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is a prism? A prism has 2 identical bases and rectangles around it. And how many rectangles does it have? The number of sides that your base has. So however many sides your bases have is going to be how many rectangles you have. So let's take a look at each of these shapes and look at what the difference is. A triangular prism. It's going to have 2 bases, and the bases are going to be triangles. And then it's going to have 3 rectangles around it because a triangle has 3 sides. A pentagonal prism. It's going to have pentagon bases, and it's going to have 5 rectangles around it because it has 5 sides. A hexagonal pyramid is going to have 1 hexagon base and then 6 triangles because the hexagon has 6 sides. A rectangular pyramid, at this point you're probably following the pattern, is going to have a rectangular base and 4 triangles because a rectangle has 4 sides. So at this point, which one of those equals a sum of 7 faces? Well, 2 plus 3 is 5, not going to be A. 2 plus 5 is 7, could be that. 1 plus 6 is 7, could be that. And 1 plus 4 is 5, not going to be that. Which one of those is going to have 7 vertices? Hey, Hope, it's okay that you're really late. You can catch the end of it. We're here every Wednesday, so you can join next week. And you can text the number on the screen to at least get the problems that we've done tonight. All right, 1 plus 6 is 7. So which one of those is going to have 7 vertices? Well, if we look at a prism, and let's count the vertices on that prism. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then we're going to have 5 on the other side too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, Nicole, you got it. That's going to be 10 vertices, not 7. So the number of vertices in a prism is going to be however many sides that your base has times 2. The number of vertices in a pyramid is going to be the number of sides plus the extra on top. So the answer is C. You are absolutely right. Excellent job. All right. We have not much time at all left. I don't have enough time to go over another problem. If I did not cover everything that you wanted me to cover tonight, that's okay. I'm here. We're here every Wednesday. Drop a comment in the comments while the exit video or while Dr. A comes back on and gives you a special surprise. Drop a comment and let me know what you would like to see next week. And then the problems I didn't cover today, I'll go ahead and cover next week as well. So I'm so glad that you all joined us, even if you were really late. That's okay. I hope that you join us next week. We are here at 7 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock Central time for my Texas people. And stay tuned. Dr. A is going to jump back on for a final video. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, so wasn't that an amazing session? Now, I know, depending on what exam you have to take, you're like, man, that was great, but she didn't address everything I needed. She focused on all different questions that I just need elementary, or I just need middle school, I just need high school. Don't worry. Since you're still with us, I've got a special surprise for you. If you use the coupon code, all capital letters, SINK35, that's SINK 35. That will take off 35% off any of our prep courses on our website at the Learning Liaisons. It doesn't have to just be math. It could be anything that you need that we offer. And this is going to be an ongoing deal for you guys who attend these live sessions, because these are great. I'm sure Amy opened your eyes to some new concepts, some new ways to tackle problems, building that confidence. But this is just a smidget of your exam, the concepts on your test. So if you want the comprehensive view with the practice with Amy, with the practice test, with the lessons and the content review, we've got your back on our video boot camps, which all of them feature Amy Sink, your math specialist. So if you want to take advantage of that, the code is SINK35. You can use that at checkout on the learningliaisons.com website. And all that information is on our website as well, and on the bottom of the screen in this video. So we are here to help you. Once again, always remember, it's when you pass, not if you pass. Thank you for joining us again today, and hopefully we'll see you next week too. Talk to you soon.